Hi, Gordy.
Hey, Gordon.
We just started a little early, so you're on right away. Come right up to
Okay.
the podium.
Yeah.
Just grab a seat, you can pull a seat up on there.
Sure.
It's
So,
not a presentation.
so it's for Hawkesbury Civic Center policy, so we'll hand things over to you, Gordy, whenever you're ready. Thank you for coming a little early, by the way.
No problem. But it really is. So Civic Center policies, I think the one we're talking about tonight in particular is the security and penalties for offenses at the Civic Center. I think I'm correct in saying that too, Your Worship. That's what we'll be discussing. So I reached out to like facilities across the province, excuse me. Just asked them, the question was, and I'll read the question that I had sent. In order here. Wonder what everyone, we have a group that between facility managers, between Yarmouth and Sydney and the four pads and HRM and Moncton, where we kind of bounce stuff off each other and see what policies are working there, what we're doing here and everywhere else. So my question was, wonder what everyone is using or not using for security in and around the facility. Do you use contracted security or in-house security at any time for events, and if so, when? Also, what are your terms of enforcement, i.e. how long is someone barred or banned from your facility for certain offenses? I've attached what we have in place since 2004, which was developed to our building committee, which was basically town council, and I'm wondering how we align with other like facilities. So here and back, I reached out to 13 facilities. I heard back from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this arena, they use in-house security for events and games. Their banning policy is on par with what we use for terms of enforcement. St. FX Millennium Center use campus security and student police, and their banning policy is in line with ours as well. The 2 4 pads, one in Bedford and one in Dartmouth, both facilities used to have full-time security, but not have had any since 2002, as they become ineffective and we're not meeting the expectations of the level of service required. Currently, security is hired for special occasions and local high school games. We do miss the sense of comfort by having security, but since COVID, we've stopped selling alcohol, and the number of incidents has dropped dramatically. So the need has decreased. We do not have a policy for protection of property, but typically banned for 6 months. However, with no one checking IDs at the doors, it's hard to enforce, and people are on the honor to respect protection of property. The 4 pad Superior Propane Center in Moncton, they use security for tournaments and large games. They check coolers and bags, but do not do room-to-room coverage. Each ice user, the propane center is pretty much just ice usage. They don't have conference rooms, but they do have a restaurant and a bar area upstairs. So it's mostly ice use. So they said each ice user has a contract in terms and conditions to cover the rules, but the Superior Propane Center has no enforcement. They are fined $100 for alcohol-related offense, and after the first offense, their ice time is revoked. I've heard back today from Member 2, Sport and Recreation Center, who just use contracted security for larger hockey games. Same goes for the Rath East League Community Center in Truro. They just use for their junior A games and larger events such as trade shows or the Grand Slam curling events, stuff like that. They'll bring security in for those events. But they do sell alcohol at all of them. So going back to 2004 when we opened the building, I'm not sure who was actually responsible for the policies or the procedures that we follow today. I don't know if Council and Your Worship has a copy of that went out with your packages.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in our
Okay, so that's the level, that's the offenses and the level 1, 2, 3, 4 offenses and what we do for them to date. That's from February 9, 2004. In the past, we didn't, as a management team or staff, didn't have to deal with this because we would have had contract security in place. Well, up until the last few months, contract security would issue the Protection of Property Act, send a copy to the RCMP, and contact the individuals themselves. So the town was kind of at an arm's length from dealing with it, but now we're not. So we're right in the mix. Yeah, that's, it came to a head, I think, before Christmas when we had some vaping offenses. We actually had another vaping offense yesterday where we had 2 high school 15-year-old and 16-year-old caught vaping in the change room of the gym. So it's happening again. That's the information I have, Your Worship. I just had some other things that the former facility manager, Merrill Boudreau, just done up in case of the absence of security, what staff could do in certain situations. Just very basic stuff. Most of it's called 911. And
Yeah, that's at the back of that.
Right, okay.
So if it's happening in the gym, is that still us enforcing? Or is that the gym have their own?
I'm not sure if the gym has any, but I think that the gym space would have to at least meet our standard.
Okay.
For anything at all, whether it's vaping or if it's,
Okay, all right. We'll open up to any questions for Gordy. Okay, Councillor Flynn.
Through Your Worship. First, I'll start off with a comment. When this building was open on the weekends during minor hockey, it was a full day of minor hockey, we had security here. There was security here almost the whole time this building was open. And for the first 17, 18 years, this building looked absolutely fabulous. Since there's been a lot less security, I see a lot of broken chairs in the arena. I see added things being put onto our staff. Things that were not their responsibilities when they were hired on here. I come to a high school game, sometimes you see 1, sometimes 2 security, sometimes they don't show up. Same with a junior B. I look at Halloween night, I came here, security showed up 4 hours late. Who's responsible for the hockey game and the security? Our arena staff. I know I asked over a year ago for us to look at hiring our own within, making them town employees. In my opinion, the contract security is not working. I'm here at all the sporting events. I see what they do or don't do. It's less than satisfactory in my eyes, and we're seeing the results by the damage being done inside that building. We've got more broken chairs in the last 2 years than we did in 18 years. If we don't have good security, this is only going to get worse. And I don't think it's fair to our 2 staff that we have on to ask them to do their duties plus security duties. I think we need to sit down. We need to come up with a better plan for security. I'm hearing it from the residents. They're saying, what's going on at the Civic Center? How come we're getting how come there's broken chairs? How come we don't see security there? And the security that does come a lot of the times, they'll sit down and watch the game instead of doing the rounds. So I think that we need to step that game up. That's my comments.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I'm not quite sure what this meeting's about. Is it about security or is it a bylaw meeting?
It's about this particular bylaw and what we want to do with it.
This particular bylaw, well, in my opinion, if the bylaw is not broke, don't fix it. As Councillor Coyne just said, a policy meeting. As Councillor Coyne said, there was strict consequences to actions and specifically defined here. And over the years, regardless of who was looking after, what security was looking after it, we never heard so much that we're hearing lately. Now I'm disturbed to hear that we heard another offense yesterday. And it's out in the public that we're here for a reason because somebody got caught and somebody complained. Now my father, God bless his soul, used to say, his saying was, two wrongs don't make a right. We made a mistake back then. We're gonna make another mistake by, I don't know if we're planning on easing up these policy or bylaw, whatever you wanna call it, policy, trying to ease it up, or I'm not sure where we are. But I think I'm the only one who was around here, and Gordy was, but he was working with the Works Department, I think, at the time, when we built this place. And part of the reason, and we spent months, was making these offenses so that the place would be good in 18 years and not being torn apart. Now it's out in the community. If I get caught vaping in that civic center, they better not do nothing to me. If I get caught drinking in that civic center, they better not do nothing to me. Because we eased up on our policy. We eased up on it. We didn't do what it stated, in my opinion. Now we're here. I don't know what we're trying to do here now. Are we trying to change this, or are we trying to talk about security? I mean, I can go on here, folks, and you know I can't, but the long and the short of it is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Leave this alone the way it is, and if it happens again, we abide by this. And if somebody got caught yesterday or today, we abide by this. And regardless of what happened, we admit we made a mistake. That's it. We made a mistake. The person whatever the individual that got caught a month ago or before Christmas or whenever it was, we made a mistake. We didn't know that there was a board of directors, which is the town council, is the board of directors at the civic center. That's another thing that happened back then. Just because we don't meet on a regular basis doesn't mean there's still not a board of directors. There's lots of boards that don't meet. So anyway, that's my rant for my 5 minutes.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor McCrory?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I don't know that we have to reinvent anything. think we have a good basis, a document here. This is stuff that has just come up now for the first time in a long time to council. And and just to hear the Worship, what the Gordy is saying in terms of consulting with these other facilities, what we have seems to really be on par and with what most of these other facilities have. And I think that's part of the conversation we had was, let's do, which Gordy has done, a search to see what's done in other jurisdictions, other municipal units. So I definitely support Councilor McDougall, and we have this, and I think we should feel comfortable going forward. But we do, so you made the point, we do have to show consistency in how we deal with infractions, right? And because the word is out there that this happened in this case, and like you said, you alluded to, somebody saying, well, if I get caught in there, they better not be booting me out. So anyhow, those are my two cents worth.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Pratt.
Yes, Your Worship, through you. I agree. I know this took some time to put together, and when we did it, and with Gordy looking into it, and there's a couple of, I guess, recreation facilities that are on par with what we have. I don't believe we should have any changes and should follow it. I guess a question is, I know there's more to the policy than this. Mm-hmm. And I believe the policy actually states that when security will be here, how many will be here, and who enforces what our rules are. That should be, I guess, part of what we should be looking at, because we don't have security now, so we have to change that part of the policy. Or go back to hiring, I guess, security.
Indicate instances where we should have security.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think we definitely should look at modernizing this to reflect vaping, since that's not listed on here. Maybe it just needs to be cleaned up in terms of language. And I guess my question would be, where do we have this posted for public consumption? And if we don't have it readily posted, we should, and do a little bit of education around it. And I feel like if we do some education around these policies, it's going to act as a deterrent in the future. Mm-hmm. So that if and I don't want to pick on youth, but if anybody is in contravention of any of these policies, then it's very clear in terms of what the recourse is in terms of that action or behavior. Those are just my observations. If council is open to that, I mean, I don't have any issue with it other than, let's make sure that we have all of the behavior and actions modernized and covered off, so that we don't leave it open for argument. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
With your worship, what is vaping? Is smoking or drinking or jumping up and down in the corner? What is it?
It's a new thing.
no, it's
I don't think it's
It's
to my
smoke,
knowledge, it's not a drink, it's a
It's a
replacement
smoke.
for-
it's smoking
So
under
I'd say,
the provincial
I'd say
legislation.
under level 2 offense, smoking in building would be the
Vaping.
offense.
60 days.
Yeah, that's smoking in building. So,
We can indicate including vaping.
Yeah, just to add, like, be able to use that language.
yeah, but we don't want, my point is, your worship, we don't want to say, we weren't wise enough to know that vaping wasn't smoking as a council.
Oh, I think we're wise enough. It's under the legislation of the province of Nova
Exactly.
Scotia
It's smoking.
that vaping is considered smoking. But as the mayor says, maybe we should just put that in the line with that language.
So,
Not everybody knows
Doesn't
what the
hurt to
legislation is.
provide more clarifying language. And it also doesn't hurt to do some education around what the offenses are. And, once it's, cleaned up and we can advertise that, and council's happy with an updated version with, then figure out a way to get that public education piece out there to act as
Yeah.
a deterrent.
your worship, I like what you just said there. It's very, very important that you just said there. It is education.
Yeah.
This should probably maybe be posted in our civic center
Yeah, and on our website.
and on our website, but not in our civic center with the inclusion.
Yeah.
Where it says smoking in building,
Including vaping.
including vaping, and post that in the civic center.
We do have code of conduct rules posted for the bill, but they don't include vaping.
But what we don't want is to loosen things up and then our civic center is falling apart. And what I'm hearing between the gym, the people in there doing stuff, and
That is an exercise.
in the dressing rooms, and that is an exercise, right? and the dressing rooms, and it's gonna go right out in the building. You gotta protect the civic center, and we're the ones to do it.
And to the deputy mayor's point as well, look at the extension of these policies around the security piece. Terry, did you?
Yeah, just a couple of points of clarification. So in accordance with some issues, vaping is considered smoking. In consideration of fire protection, vaping is not considered smoking. So there are issues where they're not the same. So with respect to air quality, with respect to protection of people around you, yes, it's true. With respect to fire protection, it's not the same. And so clarification doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, that is the case, but not in all cases. The other thing I'd just like to ask Gordy, if there has been interpretation or relaxation of those rules in the past by others enforcing it. Have people looked at the circumstances around an incident prior to this?
I think it's nice, I don't agree with the term Councilor McDougall used as a mistake in the previous judgment there before Christmas, because I think we took into account the people involved and I guess it was just a different situation, a different circumstance. And we made a judgment on that. Now, I don't know if we want to go by this, that's, at the end of the day, that's that, and that's that, then that's fine. What we've done for 19 years, in partnership with the contracted security provider. So I think if we're going to move forward with that, and council is going to be responsible for the answer for that, then maybe a combination like a collective review between staff and council to make sure we have everything on that that we want, that's gonna, answer any questions that's gonna come from any future, starting tomorrow, really, because the youths that were caught yesterday were 15 and 16, and they're both in minor hockey, and 2 months is probably gonna be the rest of the season.
That's,
Your worship, can I just
No.
follow up to my clarification?
I don't know if that answered your
No,
question.
no, it wasn't actually, so that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
clarify, but please, Councilor Coyne
Yeah.
can go for it.
Did you want to finish your thoughts?
Yeah, so my question was not with respect to the incident at Christmas. That was, there was a judgment and council have indicated that their thoughts are as they stated. And that's fine. The point I was trying to make is when we look back, when I asked Gordy to look back at previous judgments, there was relaxation of those rules in accordance with the circumstances in which they occurred.
Yes.
So it wasn't, yes, you were vaping, you get 2 months off. Yes, you were fighting, you get this. Yes, you were doing, that was it. The instructions that were given to staff prior to me leaving on vacation was that the rules that are indicated in the policies will be strictly adhered to. If there's consideration for a change in that, that will be decided by the Civic Center Board, which is comprised of mayor and council. So until that changes, staff will not be making that decision. We will not be considering the circumstances. Those circumstances and considerations will be heard by the board, which is this council. And we're not asking for relaxation. There shouldn't be any consideration of that. We were asked to take forward the policy for consideration tonight, and that's what we've done. Gordy has looked at, he's gone to other similar facilities. He's looked at what they're doing. What we're finding is that it's similar. So that's all we're presenting. I would like to see that procedure where if there's redress, then it goes to the board. That should be written down. So we'll have that in policy. So it'll be the responsibility of the Civic Center Board to make that decision if there's a relaxation.
So could we suggest then that we see something like the modernized
Yes,
version
plus
of
that, yeah.
the policy?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll meet prior to the next committee of the whole to take a look at that.
Yeah.
If council's happy with that, we can have a special public meeting after committee of the whole to adopt the new set of policies. New, refreshed, amended, or updated.
through you, your worship. Gordy, that comment you made about the circumstances and considering who it was,
It wasn't who it was, it was,
this is what we're hearing from Port Hawkesbury residents, was because of who it was a lesser penalty. We're wearing that, and we're wearing it on a regular basis. We have a policy in place. The policy says if you do this, you get this. I don't care if you're in minor hockey. I don't care if you come in here for the first time. It's the only time you're coming in the building. You have that offense. There's your minimum. It's 60 days minimum for smoking in the Civic Center. If you play hockey, I don't care. You shouldn't be smoking in the Civic Center. I don't feel bad for the kid that goes home for 2 months for breaking the rules. If they're not smart enough to follow the rules, then they deserve the penalty. If you go and shoot somebody, you're not going to say, well, I didn't know I was going for murder. You're getting what you're getting. That's how I feel.
Anything else on this? Are we happy with next steps for the updated, edited version to come to us next month?
I do have a question.
Okay.
And it goes with yesterday. So we hear that somebody got caught. What was said to these people yesterday? Are they gone for 60 days?
I just, that's a personnel issue that does not belong in public session.
No, I was just gonna say that's in camera.
So we can give a summary of that, and we'll send, Gordy will do a summary of that and send it to council. So I would assume that you'll be prepared.
You
So,
could,
and,
you could mark
so
that
we
email
will,
confidential,
Yep.
Gordy, when you do circulate that, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions any other questions or comments with regard to?
Yes, your worship, just
Policy?
one question and a comment. Through you to Gordy. Gordy, you said the code of conduct is posted around the Civic Center?
yeah, there's one posted just inside the arena.
Yep.
As you head into the arena, either before you go down the dress room hallway or into the seating.
So kind of like a generic code of conduct?
Pretty much.
Yeah. But this here, the policy is not posted currently.
No.
Right? So I'm thinking, I believe that's what we suggested, that it should be posted, it should be conspicuous so that people realize, and shouldn't be able to plead ignorance, but we've got to do it the education part. People have to know what it is, so I think that's the other part of what we want to see going forward.
Yeah, we should have lay out a plan around the communications once we have this updated.
Yeah.
And then that way, if we're all happy with the plan, before our committee of the whole next month, then we can have staff implement that communication strategy around that very thing.
That's good.
So we don't have any approved additions, so just a motion to adjourn, please.
Moved.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Okay, the bylaw and policy meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Gordy.
You're welcome.